guys. So today's video is going to be on refreshing all of the front suspension parts on a Golf 1. This job initially was going to be removing tie rod ends and ball joints, just replacing them, but as we started removing those parts, we came into further issues where we had to basically replace the hub and the bearings as well in front. This process will take you about a day to do, if not less. It just took me a few days because of course I ran into a few other problems. I had to get the parts and all of those things, but it should take a day once you have everything working at a continuous rate. Another thing of note, try to get someone to work with you. That will shorten the time by a lot, also helping you keep things tight while you're turning it. This is basically the tool set that you're going to need. So a ratchet with an extension. Then you have a size 19 socket, which will be for removing the tie rod end. A 17 socket, which will be used for removing the bolts on the shock mounting and the hub carrier. Then you have a 15 socket, which will be used for removing the brake caliper. Then you have a size 32 socket, which will be for removing the CV axle nut. I see some varies where the Golf sometimes use a 30, but in this case it's a 32. Then you have a 17 spanner and a 13 spanner. This will just be to support when removing the shock bolts, and this will be for removing the ball joint bolts as well, because it will be a bolt and nut combo. Then you have a circle wrap remover. This will be for removing the retainer clips for the bearings. Then you have a chisel, which I just use for removing the ball joint as well from the hub carrier or the bearing carrier. And then you have this pole over here, which we used for removing the tie rod end. And this will be the only special toolkit that you will be needing for removing and replacing the bearing inside the bearing carrier. This is a nice little kit that I bought from Adenoff, which is in Montague Gardens. I'll put a link in the description. It's a very nice tool that you need, and it's very convenient. You don't need to go to the store to have your bearings replaced. Then you'll just need two 32 spanners, just so that you can turn in the bearing. Other than that, you will just need your jack and a jack stand. This is a toolkit that I used as well, which I also bought from Adenoff. It's a nice cheap kit. I think it came as a 1.5. Also put a link in the description for that. But other than that, this is all the tools you need. A set from a power bar that you will need for removing the axle nut. Yeah, that's about it. So I'll be showing you guys the process and how to do all of it in step-by-step form. Enjoy the video. So we will start by removing the bolt on the shock. Then you will be moving on to loosening up the tie rod end bolt and the ball joint bolt as well. If you're turning off the tie rod ends nut, and the bolt moves with the nut, just give a slight tap on the head of the tie rod end and keep on turning afterwards. Once the nut is removed, place a pole under the tie rod end, pull it up so you can have some pressure on it, and then just tap on the bearing carrier so that it will shock the tie rod end loose. So what I like to do is take the back plate of the bearing press and put it over the bearing. Make sure it fits around the bearing carrier and doesn't touch any of the sides, because if you're going to pull the hub in, this bearing might split because of that. So I would rather put that at the back for support. We'll stick a new washer and nut once you replace the hub, but we didn't receive for the other side, only receive for the one side, and we don't really want to go back just to go fetch a nut, so we're going to reuse it. We're going to Loctite on it so that it doesn't vibrate loose. Once you put the wheel back onto the car, the only thing you have to do is just lower the car off the jack stands and then just tighten up the CV nut. Just take a power bar. Going to need to use a lot of force to do this, but make sure it's on as tight as possible and you can get it. Once it is done, can take it through to the balancing and wheel alignment store. Have it done. Going to need to do wheel alignment after you do this whole process. Balancing not so much, but just to make sure that everything is 100%, just do that.